Welcome back to the 8-Figure Attorney Podcast. I'm Seth Bader. Today, our guest is Joseph Wilson. Joseph, welcome.
Thank you, Seth. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Joseph Wilson is the founder and owner of Joseph Wilson Injury Law. He founded his firm in 2017, and he is an elite lawyer. In fact, he has been repeatedly named as one of the elite trial lawyers in the Southeast and recognized by the National Trial Lawyers as one of the top 40 lawyers under the age of 40. Congrats.
I appreciate that, man.
And
Thanks
again,
a lot.
welcome.
Thank you, man. I'm happy to be here.
Joseph, there's so much for us to talk about. I'm not sure if we should start with how we met.
Yeah, we can start there.
Can we start there? Can we start there?
Yeah, I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. We were playing in a doctors versus lawyers game, I think, out in at Decatur High School, maybe it was.
That's right.
And so we were on the same team since we're lawyers. We were playing against the doctors. I think we won that game, too, if I'm
How did
mistaken.
I do? I was like the Trae Young to
Man,
your...
you were amazing, just hitting threes all over. Okay, I'm lying, but you did a pretty good job. You played your role. That's all we needed.
Playing your role is important, right?
It's very important. It's very important.
You got to know your roles.
We got the wins. That's all that matters.
The W.
The W. There you go.
Well, listen, I know you've been getting a lot of W's for your clients, and I know you're doing great things. But I'm curious, instead of like talking about the actual cases right now, I want to know like why. You know, why do you do what you do? You're a trial lawyer.
Right.
What inspires you every day? What gets you up every single day to go in there and fight for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the why, as far as from when it started in law school when I was doing mock trial, and I was inspired by Johnny Cochran. I saw him. I was watching, just some clips and things of that nature of him in court, and I was like, man, I think I can do that. I think I'd be really good at that. So that really inspired me to want to become a trial lawyer. As far as now, what really drives me and inspires me is it's kind of two things. It's the client. It really is, because, I mean, they've been hurt negligently by someone else. A lot of times very seriously. A lot of times someone has lost their life, and I'm their voice. The insurance company isn't being fair to them. They're lowballing them, and their only chance to get full justice is through me and through my voice. And so I take a lot of pride in that. The second is, man, I just get a rush being up in front of a jury. It's just a great feeling and an empowering feeling to be able to stand up in front of folks in your community, present a case to them, try to persuade them ethically. And it just, it's the closest thing to playing competitive basketball, which is something I used to do. Since I can't do that anymore, being in that arena, that adversarial arena, I just love it.
Man, so much to unpack there. Johnny Cochran.
Yeah.
What was it about Johnny Cochran that really moved you?
He had the style, he had the swag, the clothes, and then just the ability just to stand up in court and then just could talk to people like he was just having a conversation with you. Sure. And it's just something I really admired, because I mean, I had seen lawyers get up in court, but they didn't look and sound like him.
You've got that swagger.
I try to.
So tell me, like, is that, I know you do public speaking as well, and speaking is something that you are really, really good at, but is that something that's always come natural to you, or is that something that you've really worked on and that you continue to work on?
I would say it came a little bit natural to me. I had nerves, but I was still able to perform kind of early on in college and even in law school, but I put a lot of work into this. Our mock trial team required us, and this is in law school, we practiced every Saturday 8 to 8, every Sunday 8 to 8. So we put in a lot of time on our feet trying cases. And then even now as a lawyer, I hear from lawyers all the time saying, oh, you can probably just get up there and talk. I'm like, no, I spend hours and hours working on my arguments. Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm going to use this word. I'm going to phrase it this way. I'm going to pause here, and then I'm going to go into this next subject to give the jury some time to digest what I said. So people don't really understand. You got to put in the time. It doesn't just come.
Now, I'm curious, is there any connection? Did you learn any lessons? I played sports too, maybe not at your level. I played my role.
Here you go.
Right? But are there lessons you learned from, competitive basketball, and certainly the work ethic and practicing, that you're able to apply now as a trial lawyer.
Yeah, definitely the work ethic. You gotta prepare. Otherwise, you're gonna look really silly when it's time to perform. You just can't fake your way through it. You can't do it. In addition to that, when you're in that competitive arena, when you're trying a case, the ability to stay focused throughout the entire trial, not get distracted, stay focused on your common goal. But also, I always like when I'm trying a case against another lawyer who I know, and when we're taking a break, we can kind of have that conversation about something else. We can kind of just decompress a little bit. That's something that I would do on the court when I'm on the bench,
Sure.
Because sometimes the stress levels can get a little high, it can get a little crazy, but you also need to have the ability to decompress briefly during the game as well. So those are all kind of things that I bring in when I try these cases too.
So Johnny Cochran, I don't know, you didn't meet him, did you?
No, unfortunately not.
But in some sense, he's a mentor to you.
Yes.
And the rumor is you have more mentors and more coaches than anybody, which is hard to believe because I thought I did. But is that true? Do you have mentors and coaches, and what do you tell me about that, and tell me why you've invested so much time and presumably money into coaches and consultants and mentors?
That was funny. More mentors.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah, man, I have a few, man. I think it's really important. And it's really about humility. I don't think I know everything.
Sure.
I think I'm smart. I think I know a lot, but I know there's folks who have more knowledge than I do, either through experience, through age, whatever. And so I want to tap into that knowledge so that it can put me on a better path. And so, I've invested in business coaches, people who can mentor me in the legal arena to make me a better lawyer, help me be a better person, help me be more patient. So I'm all about mentorship. I think it's critical if you really want to get to where you're trying to get to, and I want to get to the top.
Well, what was curious? What does the top look like for you?
Yeah, that's an evolving answer, really, for me. I guess the top for me, it's not necessarily a specific number revenue-wise I'm trying to get to or size of firm. I want to reach my complete capability. Any dormant capability that I have within me, I want to absolutely get that and reach that. Whatever that is, whatever God has given me, I want to get to that point. That's success to me. That's completely just, exhausting all the resources within me. That's what I aspire to get to.
Sure thing. And again, so mentorship is a big part of that.
Yes.
I actually can relate to that. And I think humility is a value that is underappreciated.
Yeah.
I think that I found in my own life that being humble enough to accept that I don't know everything, and that there, as you said, there are so many people out there that have more experience, that know more,
right,
and that you can tap into, and it really helps to expedite the learning curve as well.
Right.
So
a lot of folks also don't realize it's not always going to be free. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to invest in yourself to be able to get that knowledge and information. It's not always free. Sometimes it is. You may have a mentor who just wants to help you, but sometimes you have to invest.
And I'm curious now looking back, I'm fair to say that you've seen a huge return on investment in investing in yourself and investing in coaches and mentors?
I have return on investment for my business, return on investment personally, return on investment as a trial lawyer. I was just in Wyoming a couple of months ago. You might have saw. I was up with Nick Rowley, who's another mentor of mine, a great trial lawyer, and so we were up there for a week working on becoming better trial lawyers. It wasn't free, but it was well worth it. I got better, and I'm going to continue to get better based off the knowledge that I learned there.
Sure thing. Now, when you went out there, did you go by yourself, or you took the family?
Took the wife. We left the two kiddos with the grandparents, so we could kind of get away a little bit. So it was a fun experience. I'd never been to Wyoming before, and it was pretty cool.
You're a cowboy now.
I wouldn't go that far. And I keep saying Wyoming. It's Montana. I always get those two confused. Montana.
So tell me. I have kids. You have kids. You got a wife. You work hard. I know what it's like to own a law firm and to represent clients, and the dedication and the time that takes, and it's hard to find the balance. I'm curious, as a man, as a husband, as a father, how do you find that balance?
Yeah, it's tough sometimes, and that's kind of ever evolving. I'm always trying to work on that too because I want to be present for my family, for my young boys. I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, and so it really depends on the day. If there's a day or a week where maybe it's a little lighter, I don't have depositions, I don't have any trials coming up, I'll leave the office a little early so that I can get to spending time with my kids. But it's also important that you have your systems in place with your business so that even if you aren't there, things are still moving, revenue is still coming in. So we've set those systems up in place. We have those policies and procedures so that even if I'm not there, my business can continue to run even if I'm not there.
Got you. I was reviewing your website, and on there you talk about the philosophy of excellence and going the extra mile.
Right.
So talk to me about that. Well, why is that a philosophy of yours, and why is that so significant to you?
Yeah, that was one of Johnny Cochran's mantras as well, is just you have to be excellent in everything that you do. If you're going to touch it, if you're going to get involved in it, you need to try to be excellent at it. You need to try to be the best at it. You may not necessarily get there, but that should be the aspiration. And so everything that I get involved in, my goal is to be excellent because I want to not only set an example for anybody who looks up to me, but also I want the perception about me to be someone, okay, if Joseph Wilson's involved in this case or whatever it is, he's going to do it well. He's not going to half-ass it or whatever. He's not going to be lazy about it. He's going to do it well. We know he's coming the right way about it, and we have to respect that. And so from a litigation standpoint, any defense lawyer that sees me, they know they have a fight ahead of them. And so I just think if you're not practicing excellence, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to lose out on money. And ultimately, it's going to affect your business. You may not see it immediately, but down the road, it's going to come back and hurt you.
Let me ask you, what does excellence look like? I mean, what are 3 or 4 things, traits or behaviors or results that demonstrate excellence for you?
Yeah, I mean, really, it starts with the preparation. I mean, if you have a big deposition on Friday, but you don't start preparing until, Thursday night, you're probably not going to be ready. So it really starts well before the actual event. If I have a big deposition, I'm preparing a couple weeks in advance because I don't want to miss anything. I'm going over all of the documents that I need. I'm looking into the witness, crafting out my questions well in advance. And so it really starts with the preparation. And then, once you actually get to the day of the deposition or whatever, it's being yourself, being bold when you need to be, not being afraid to ask the questions that perhaps 99% of the lawyers won't ask. So, I mean, it's really about that. And, and when I think about trial, when I think about excellence, creativity. A lot of lawyers try cases the same way because they're scared. They don't want to do anything outside the box. They're afraid the judge is going to get mad at them. The jurors aren't going to like it. But for me, I'm all about being creative, as creative as I can. Although we're trying serious cases, I want the jury to be invested in it. I want them to be excited about coming to court to see what's going to happen at trial. So you can't be afraid to be creative, to do things outside the box, to be yourself. That's another thing. A lot of folks don't want to be themselves in trial, especially. They're just stiff, straight up and down, not authentic at all. And I try to be the opposite of that.
So now you piqued my interest. Like what does it mean to be authentically Joe Wilson in front of a jury?
Yeah. I would say I'm about 90% there. That's something I was working on in Montana. I want to get to 100%. From my mannerisms, my nonverbal communication, the words that I use, my voice inflection, I need to be who I am when I'm not in the courtroom. So if I'm just having a conversation with Seth and the way that I talk, everything that I would normally do outside of the courtroom, I need to do it in the courtroom as well. That's me being authentic. because the jury's going to know, okay, this isn't a fake. This is how he is. This is how they can pick up on that nonverbal communication. But again, a lot of times what I see with lawyers is they're one way outside of the courtroom, and then when you get in there, you don't even recognize them because they're trying to be whatever their vision is of what a trial lawyer should look like or sound like, and we all sound the same. It's boring. The jurors, they're just like, okay, this is not what I was expecting. This isn't Law and Order. This isn't what I see on TV because I have these boring lawyers up here talking. So that's what I think authentic is.
Gotcha. Now, Joe, you're always cool, calm, and collected. But if you're like most lawyers and you're doing the kind of work that we do, some things keep you up at night.
Oh, yeah. Anything
keep you up at night?
Yeah, all the time.
What keeps you up at night?
All the time, man. I'm just scared I'm going to miss something. I'm going to miss something. With our work, we're looking at the records, the medical records. What's in there that can hurt us? Am I missing something that could help our case? I'm always concerned that the defense knows something that I don't know. Sometimes our clients aren't always forthcoming. Maybe they forgot about some things in their past history that we really need to know to be able to try their case effectively. But yeah, that definitely is the main thing that keeps me up at night, that the defense knows something that I don't know. Also, if I'm about to try a case and I'm kind of on the fence about what amount of damages I'm going to ask for, that's something that keeps me up too, because, you don't want to ask for too much and potentially irritate the jury, but you also don't want to ask for something that's too small, that's not going to compensate your client for the full extent of the harm. So those are probably the two key things when it comes to trial that keep me up.
Okay. How about in business?
Yeah.
You're a business owner.
Yes.
You're a lawyer.
Yeah.
But you're now a business owner. You founded your firm in 2018 or 17?
Yeah, 4 years.
Right. So already achieved so much success, but I own a law firm too, so I know there's a lot of challenges. And any challenges there that keep you up at night?
Yeah, probably more so than trial stuff. Because when you're running a business, there's just a lot of moving parts. So you're looking at your overhead, what your expected revenue is for the month, because you're trying to be profitable, and so you're always kind of looking at that overhead. So yeah, that keeps me up.
Did you learn any of that in law school? They teach you any about that?
Zero.
Right?
Not a thing, man. It's a shame, really. But I feel like a lot of law schools, they're not really promoting entrepreneurship like that. They're promoting big law life, which I did right out of law school. But yeah, from a business standpoint, the numbers. I'm a numbers guy anyway. I was an accounting major, so I'm always looking at P&Ls. Marketing spend. Am I getting a good ROI on what I'm putting in from a marketing standpoint, or should I move it to something else? Trying to be patient with that, because sometimes it can take some time, as you know, some of these marketing avenues. But yeah, I would say business keeps me up a little bit more, but it's still worth it though, for sure.
So you mentioned big law. You mentioned that's where you started out of law school, and I think you've worked for a few other law firms before you opened your own firm.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about that. Both when just your journey after law school and how it led you to where you're at today.
Yep. So graduated from Washington University in St. Louis in 2012. Immediately came back and was working for an AmLaw 250 firm, and basically what that is one of the 250 largest firms in the country. So I was doing labor and employment defense, so something completely different than what I do now. I thought that's what I wanted to do, because I was taking a lot of externships in law school on employment law. Got into it and realized that I was bored, because that job, doing that type of work, really requires you to just sit at your desk the entire time. You're writing, which is fine. I'm a good writer, talking to clients, but you're not taking depositions. You're not trying any cases. In fact, at that law firm, the first time you could take a deposition, I think, is year 6, which is crazy to me. So I knew pretty early on this was not going to be a long-term thing for me. I wasn't going to do well here over time. And so I got a plan in place after about a year in, that I'm going to try to get into personal injury, because in mock trial, those were the type of cases we tried, negligence cases. But it's tough to get into PI if you don't have any PI experience. And so nobody really would give me a chance. Eventually I did get a chance working in Decatur with Bruce Hagan. He gave me my first opportunity. And, you know, he's still a great friend to me. Got a ton of trial experience working with Bruce. Probably tried 25 jury trials working there in less than 2 years. So it was crazy, on the fly, just learning. And you really can't beat that type of experience because there's just not a lot of folks trying that many cases. And when you get to try cases, you get to learn about what you need to build up your case during discovery. And so I kind of learned backwards, but yeah, it definitely was a great experience for me. So yeah, I worked at one other firm before I started my own firm, doing some kind of bigger trucking cases. And so then I've been out on my own ever since.
Now, you're handling big cases now.
Yes.
And those cases, actually, a lot of people don't know this. Obviously, lawyers know this, but a lot of people outside of our space don't realize you've got to make we've got to make pretty substantial investments into our cases with experts,
Yes.
And you know, and other types of resources to build up the value of the case and get it ready for a jury trial. What gives you the confidence? And by the way, there's no guarantee
Right.
of the outcome. We only get paid if the client, you know, wins or secures the settlement. What gives you the confidence to make those kinds of investments into our cases or to your cases?
Yeah, I mean, probably just from doing it before and getting resolutions, but also I'll talk to other lawyers, my mentors, and get their thoughts on it. So, like, for example, I've got a trucking case. I'm about to put in $30,000-$40,000 on experts, but I think the long-term payoff is going to be good for the client because we're building up the damages part of her case. But yeah, it's tough sometimes because you're right. You don't know, could we lose this case at trial? Could we lose it on motion for summary judgment and then all that money down the drain? But ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, I try to do what's best for my client and what's in their best interest, and you know, just try to rely on past experience to hopefully we'll get a good one in the future on this one.
Now, a lot of trials, a lot of trial lawyers that I know, I don't know why this is, but many of us have overcome adversity in our lives, and I'm curious to know if there's an experience that you've overcome or in a specific scenario where you've experienced adversity and you know that you've overcome and that you've basically been able to turn that into a superpower of yours.
Well, yeah, I've always kind of had a chip on my shoulder, you know, going into, so, you know, I'll back up. I was always a very smart kid, according to my parents. My sister was the one who did really.
So humble.
According to my parents.
Okay.
I didn't feel that way coming up. I didn't think I was smart. My parents would always tell me that in comparison, because my sister would do really, really well in school. She tried hard. I didn't try hard at all. I just cared about sports. But they would always try to tell me, look, you could do this, you could do that if you would just try. So basically through high school, I was very average. Through the first 2 years of my college, very, very average. I just didn't care. And then some light just clicked on. I was like, oh man, I have to get a job someday. I'm not going to the pros. It's not going to happen. Like, I need to get serious to see if I can actually do this. And started studying for the LSAT. I got into law school. Mind you, my LSAT was low. It was like a 150 or something, like 149. So according to that, I'm not going to do well in law school. But I had that chip on my shoulder. I was like, man, I'm going to try as hard as I can and just see what happens. And I ended up doing well. And then I started to really believe in myself, that I could actually, you know, get into this world and actually be productive and do well. But that was really my adversity. That first year of law school was hell, just working really hard. You know, there was nobody that looked like me in my section. Nobody really wanted to study with me first semester until they realized I did really well. So that kind of fueled me to be like, all right, like, it's me against the world. And I still have that chip now. It's hard to kind of get rid of, where I'm just like, I want to show you that I'm really good and that I can beat you at trial or whatever. It's just kind of something I carry with me now.
And so I can relate to that. And no doubt that, you know, if you carry that chip on your shoulder, it can generate a lot of energy and, you know, a lot of motivation to, to keep working and to keep getting better, and certainly to fight for your clients.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned you went to law school and nobody looked like you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I know what you mean, but tell me about that.
Yeah, I was in my section. I was the only black person in my section. I was out in St. Louis. So my first year of law school, I went to St. Louis University. That was the best school I got into. Very good school.
Great school.
So I was there my first semester, first year. But nobody wanted to study with me. Everybody was forming the study groups, and I was like, hey, I'd like to get in this. They were like, oh, well, we're already kind of full. I was like, all right, well. So I just studied by myself, and then at the first semester the grades come out, and then I'm getting all these OCI interviews with these big firms in St. Louis, and so folks started putting two and two together, and then just it got around where I was kind of ranking class wise, where my ranking was, and then it kind of shifted and kind of changed. I mean, I don't know.